And then you hit 50 and it's like, wow, I thought I was done with these problems, and all of a sudden they're back. And they're back because you didn't deal with them. You didn't grow. You didn't go into the pain that's hiding in this undefined solar plexus. You were too busy avoiding it because you don't know when enough is enough, and you were pretending to be certain about things that don't matter so that you can have attention from people. Hello there, and welcome to Third Lining It, where I, Ian, talk about what not to do and why not to do it through the lens of human design. Essentially fulfilling my purpose as a third line being. Because you see, as a third line, we are very good at finding out how not to do things. And so without any further ado, we'll hop right on in. So if you look over to my left over here, you'll see this body graph chart. And so the first thing I notice when I look at this chart is that we're dealing with a 4-6 splenic ego projector. And so right away, you know something about this person. They're an opportunistic role model who needs to wait for the invitation to share their direction in life with others, to share their advice, their perspective, their guidance. As a projector, this person has the ability to see into the magnetic monopole of an individual person, one-on-one, one person at a time. And they can see into this person and clearly see what elements lead to bitterness and what elements lead to success within this person. And so they can see how to honor this person towards their success and towards their greatness. However, we're talking about what not to do today. And that recognition that leads towards invitation of success, the real honoring of success that we can all experience as the natural signature of a projector, that's only available if you can wait for the invitation and follow your inner authority. For this person, it's a splenic inner authority. And that means there is a voice in the now. There is an intuition, an instinct from their immune system, from their biology. And it speaks once. They'll say, get out, or move on, or yes, this. And it only speaks once. So if you miss it, you missed it. And that's what we're talking about today. What happens when this person does not pay attention to their spleen and when they're not waiting for the invitation. So essentially what happens to a projector who's not waiting for the invitation is that they're caught up in these open centers. This is the primary thing we're looking at with what's called the not self. This is what not to do, and so the not self does what you don't want to do because it's pretending to fix what cannot be fixed. You see these open energy centers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 centers here represent the themes of life that are here to develop wisdom, ultimately, because they are not fixed. And so because you can explore these themes in all kinds of different ways, you can learn wisdom about what is really correct or not correct in that theme as an overall function. Whereas these defined centers here, they're defined in a very specific and narrow band. There's a very specific way in which this person relates to a direction in life, their immune system, their adrenal pressure, and their egoic, heart-based willpower. This is a single definition system here. All those 4 quadrants are connected together. Whereas in the not self, it doesn't matter all that much because what is most attractive to the mind are these open centers. These are what is really attractive and pulling you into cognizing this way. And so the first, number 1, most important not self theme for this person is right here in this undefined solar plexus center. So this 4-6 splenic projector is going to be avoiding conflict and truth. They're going to be doing whatever they can to not cause other people problems, to not experience the pain of other people being upset at them about something. They don't want to deal with your emotional wave. They simply want to be able to amplify the feel-good wave. They don't have consistent access to an emotional system. And so the thing is in the mind, it goes into this undefined center and it amplifies it. It cranks it up to 10 or 11 or 12. So whenever somebody around them's feeling good, they're feeling really good. Whenever somebody around them is feeling bad, they're feeling very bad. And they don't want to deal with that at all. So they're going to avoid conflict and the truth so as to avoid that pain. Next up here in this undefined sacral center, this is actually why they're a projector and not a generator. Because this sacral is undefined. And because the sacral is undefined, this means that there is no consistent ability to know when enough is enough. They will push and 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 they will push. Because they're busy avoiding problems. You know, they're going to run away from that problem like they have no idea when it's enough, and they actually need to go into their pain to begin the healing process, but they don't know when enough is enough. So they're going to keep running away from that pain at all costs. Up here in the Ajna Center, we have the need to pretend certainty about something so as to not appear the fool. And so essentially, by avoiding conflicts and running away from it, they're going to pretend to be certain about something. And if I can move forward here, that doesn't matter because at least they're getting attention. You see, in this undefined head center, it's all about what doesn't matter. Specifically the things that do not matter, this is what has my attention. When you try to show something to me that does matter, I will avoid the truth because I don't know when enough is enough, and at least I'm gathering attention about something that doesn't matter, and I can pretend to be certain about it. You see, this open throat center is all about the need to gather attention from other people. And this is actually, believe it or not, the weakest not self pole. Out of all 9 energy centers you see here in the body graph, this throat center is the most complex. It has the most gates and channels. It also has the least powerful not self pole. And yet I believe we all know someone who needs attention. We've been around somebody who it's like, ugh, stop it. Like all you need is like, you want me to look at you and you want me to talk to you, and it doesn't matter what we're talking about. You simply want my attention on you. Like you're depending upon my attention to feel good. And it's actually the least powerful of all these poles, believe it or not, that need for attention. And so they're going to be seeking this attention about things that don't matter because they're avoiding the truth and they don't know when enough is enough. And at least under that circumstance, they can pretend to be certain about something. You see, I'm very busy occupied doing this thing over here, and that's why I have no time to deal with that other thing over there. For you see, as I mentioned earlier, this is a 4-6 projector profile. And so the 4-6 is the opportunistic role model, at least in the true self, in the light of the situation. In the darkness, when they're not waiting for the invitation and they're not trusting their inner authority, then instead of an opportunistic role model, this is an opportunistic hypocrite. This is somebody who will recognize opportunities, even unconsciously, to guide themselves in a way. For you see, the conscious 4th line personality is constantly seeking these opportunities throughout its network of influence. So within family, friends, business workers, colleagues, the people they spend time around, they're looking for opportunities to spread influence into that network. And then on the 6th line, unconscious over here, this is the driving force behind that opportunistic personality, you know, who you think you are as an opportunistic person. There is an unconscious 6th line mutative drive. This 6th line drive is very profound. It's under an extraordinary mutative pressure to become the unique human role model that is possible. And that's what allows them to live a long and healthy life. However, without waiting for the invitation, without trusting the inner authority, this sixth line is not going to be role modeling something that's successful. They're not going to be role modeling something that's valuable. They're going to be opportunistically demonstrating hypocrisy and getting away with it until they don't. Because it only lasts so long that one can get away with these kinds of things, especially for the sixth line. For you see, they have the first 30 years of life where they're attuning to the world around them. The second 20 years of life are actually where they're attuning to that attunement, and they're developing a unique truth around that. And then the 50 years and on, there is the demonstration of that truth or hypocrisy. And if it's hypocrisy, there's often sickness and health problems and personal problems and all kinds of challenges that come up. Even stuff that might have disappeared in the past, like you turn 30 or 28 and health problems started to go away, things started to go a little bit better. And then you hit 50 and it's like, wow, I thought I was done with these problems, and all of a sudden they're back. And they're back because you didn't deal with them. You didn't grow. You didn't go into the pain that's hiding in this undefined solar plexus. You were too busy avoiding it because you don't know when enough is enough, and you were pretending to be certain about things that don't matter so that you can have attention from people. I mean, how gross is that? I mean, this person has a mutation in this world, in this life. The 8th gate in the first line of the first color. This is a mutation, the personality Mars, about contribution, holding together through honesty. And so this person has to be able to maintain honesty in their experience or in order to contribute something that can hold together their network. However, as I mentioned, this is an undefined throat center with this 8th gate in the personality Mars. Meaning that there's tons of pressure in here, there's tons of desire in the mind, because you see in the mind there is this misidentification, and then all of a sudden I need your attention because I don't have a fixed relationship to manifestation. And if I have your attention, at least there's that, I'm manifesting that, great. And the thing is, they're going to be opportunistically, hypocritically disregarding, disrespecting, and moving on from people. And that lack of honesty in here is going to really give them a lot of pain hiding inside, that if they don't deal with, it could amount to some very bad things. And it's because they're avoiding conflicts, they're avoiding the truth here. You see, this is something that is very profound, is that 50% of human beings or so have a defined emotional system, and the other 50% have an undefined emotional system. This person is undefined, so they're busy avoiding the problems. And amplifying the problems is the thing, is because these open centers are attractive to the mind, and they're amplifying what is coming in. So it's not a baseline frequency, it's not a harmonic frequency in that sense. It becomes a deeply distorted frequency because the mind can keep identifying with what's going on in here, and then lo and behold, it's not fixed. So it identifies with something that is not consistent, and it can't rely upon that. And so if you're identified with something that's going to be changing, and you were identified with a change, and then it changes and it's no longer what it was, and then how can you stay identified with something that's not there? Well, I tell you what, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot. Whereas if they can identify with this judgmental, surrendered, perfected form, those are these 3 channels right here in this design. There is the capacity for instinctual judgment between what is right and what is wrong for the pattern to go forward into the future. That's this 1858. In this 4426, there is the capacity to surrender to the nature of life and what you can do about it. You have an ego over here in the 26, the ability to manipulate your memory to live longer, to use your willpower and your memory. Oh, I can do it like this, I can do it like that. And the 44, this is the fear of extinction. This is we're all gonna die, except for this is a channel instead of 2 individual gates. There's a whole new life force here. There is a life force of surrender, the willpower to the immune system. There is, well, I can only do so much, and this is what I can do, and this is what it is. And not only that, the 1057. The 1057 is called the channel of the perfected form. This is an empowered intuition that can actually guide direction in life. And so if this person is waiting for the invitation, and if this person is trusting their inner authority, then they'll actually find that they have this sense of judgmentation that can lead to the perfection of surrendering in life. You see, you can only do so much. However, this person is not going to be learning those lessons if they're not waiting. Because first off, what they're most likely doing is they're avoiding problems to find attention and pretend to be certain. Because you see, there's all these activations here in this open ajna center. There's logical 17, there's the insightful 43, and there's the ideas of the 11. There's all this mental pressure. There's all these concepts in here that aren't fixed in a certain way. You see, the logical opinions don't have the 62. The opinions don't have the details to back them up. The 43, the insight, does not have the 23 to turn that insight into words that are spoken. The 11 does not have the 56. The 11 are the peaceful ideals. The peaceful ideals do not have the storytelling continuity to actually put those ideals into action. And so because the ajna is not fixed, they can try to pretend to be fixed, you know, because other people can, and yet it's never going to work. If they try to identify with these ideals or these insights or these ideas, they might shift. Because the thing is somebody will come along and they'll define this ajna center in one way or another. And then when somebody comes along and defines your ajna for you, now all of a sudden you are thinking in a specific way relative to their thinking. And it's not because they've told you this, it's because of the aura mechanics. It's literally the biology of these bodies and how we interact at a distance. All of a sudden you're in aura with somebody else and you've got centers defined that are not normally defined. You are not who you were born as. You are now this new thing in that moment made up of those two people. Or more, depending on what the situation is. Which is where things get even more and more and more dangerous, because you get 3 people together, all of a sudden you're in a penta. And if you're in a penta, then your unique intelligence is not what's being pulled out. When there's 2 people together, you can share this unique, interesting experience between the 2 of you. And that's awesome. When there's 3 of us together, all of a sudden there's a homogenizing force that's pulling us towards survival, that doesn't care about our unique contribution. It simply cares about continuing. And that's what inner authority is all about. With inner authority, we can actually step out from that homogenizing penta-wa group think program. We can get out from that and learn how to make decisions correctly in a way that is consistent. For you see, these open energy centers, like I said, they're like quicksand. They're like black holes. They're portals that are pulling your mind in. They're pulling your awareness in. And you're losing intelligence in them because they're not fixed. And so you can just keep feeding more and more and more energy into it, and you'll never get anything back. Unless, of course, you wait for the invitation and you trust your spleen as this person. And then you'll recognize that all of a sudden you have the willpower strength, you have the adrenal pressure to actually get work done. You can do things around people in a social environment and expand this network into a beautiful fruition. Or you can avoid conflicts. You can pretend to be certain about things that don't matter. And you can experience the continual bitterness on the inside that you just can't get rid of. And it's because you're lost in the black holes of ignorance. And you don't have to be. Yeah. Absolutely, right here. If I look right into these sun and earth on the personality, you see the 17.4, that's in this unconscious, or rather this is in the conscious, undefined ajna center, is their sun in detriment. The personnel manager And this detriment is the overgenerous and often misguided acceptance of would-be followers, often with disastrous results. The possibility of opinions attracting others in a detrimental sense. And you see, they're pretending to be certain, and they're holding on to these ideas that are wrong because other people actually back them up. Other people will join them in avoiding conflicts and pain. Because we can pretend to be certain about this thing that doesn't matter. However, the personality earth, this is how they ground it in. It's through the incompetent line of correction, working on what has been spoiled. So, okay, this is a very funny line because you can immediately see how frustrating and how bitter this person can be, because in their grounding force of their personality, there's this quality of incompetence. And then it's even exalted. Given this negative position, survival through suffering, the inability to correct, and its potential for suffering. What a deep, dark shadow this is for this person. And so if their mind is ruling their life and making their decisions from these open centers of ignorance, then they're not able to actually find genuine success. They're able to use bitterness and pile it up into kind of a form of success that isn't really free from suffering. It's, it's mental decision making, it's trauma. And it's a lot of suffering. And it can be alleviated simply by waiting for the invitation, listening to your spleen. It's called strategy and authority for a reason. And yeah, that's about all I have for the moment. Hope you're having a wonderful day. If you'd like to learn more, feel free to reach out. Ta-ta. Bye for now.